Welcome everybody to the National League section of the Dan Sports Tips MLB season preview. We're going to go through each division day by day, and I'm going to give you my opinions and a few tips as well to try and win some money. The National League West is easily the most intriguing division in the National League this year. I'm going to start with a team I'm going to eliminate from contention, which is the Colorado Rockies. There will be a lot of high-scoring games here. They've got a solid-looking lineup. Nolan Arenado hits home runs for fun, and the home ballpark is altitude. The ball flies out of there, and they can't pitch. To be blunt about it, Jorge De La Rosa is the best starting pitcher they've got. He was actually able to navigate calls fairly well last year with a 3.08 ERA at home. Unfortunately, he got pummeled on the road, and his ERA overall was 4.17, and that's not how it should be working. If the ball's gonna be flying out and you're gonna have a high ERA, surely it should be in Colorado. The division, it doesn't have two outstanding teams such as the East and the Central, but even so, the Rockies don't look strong. I mean, Carlos Gonzalez, they keep talking about trading him. His production seems to be dipping a little bit to me as well, and he's suffered with injuries. It's just difficult for me to envisage a scenario where the Rockies can get up to a level of the other teams in this division. It's difficult to see what direction the Padres are going to go in this year. I think we probably realise that they're going to try and break this up now. They splashed some cash last year coming into the season. It hasn't worked out. I mean, they're looking at an outfield of Melvin Upton, John Jay, Matt Kemp. Upton did nothing last year. John Jay is very middle of the road. Matt Kemp hasn't produced like the superstar that he looked like he was going to be in the Dodgers. Alexei Ramirez has come across from the White Sox at shortstop. He's average. I mean, they have got Will Myers at first base. The rotation, I mean, James Shields has looked awful. And by all accounts, they're trying to trade him in his gigantic contract, but they'll do very well to get any team to take him, certainly to give them anything back for him. Tyson Ross, Andrew Kashner. Certainly Tyson Ross is a very good pitcher who looks like a building block for the future for them, but this team just seems to be caught in the middle. They don't appear to be selling out like a number of their National League counterparts are. But the product on the field doesn't look good enough. It's very difficult to envisage a scenario where this team contends. How can you rely on Melvin Upton Jr., Alexei Ramirez as building blocks for your team on a daily basis? I mean, as I say, Will Myers is there. Derek Norris has got some pop. Jervis Salate at third base. The thing is, they're never going to hit for a lot of runs because, again, they're another team with a mammoth home ballpark. You need some power to hit it out there. They look to be caught in the middle. They're ahead of the Rockies, you'd say, but they're probably not up to the level of the other three teams in this division. They'll probably win 70-some games and another middling year. They'll certainly be looking to sell, I think, at the deadline and build for the future. It's been a while now in San Diego. You have to wonder about the direction that the franchise is taking, but I think we can safely put a line through the Padres for this season. The San Francisco Giants, well, as we all know, it's an even year. It's 2016, so the Giants are going to win it all, yeah? Yeah, maybe not. The rotation, I mean, Madison Bumgarner's been a workhorse. He's a legit top-end starter. He turns up, he pitches, he wins. After him this year, there's a lot of question marks. Johnny Cueto's come across. Obviously, he pitched down the stretch for the Royals last year. Jeff Samaj has come off after struggling for a year with my White Sox. Both of them have struggled in the spring. And it's difficult after... Certainly, Samaja the whole year Cueto, the sort of second half of the year, struggles, lending over into spring training. Hard to trust that. It's impossible to know what you might get from Matt Cain now after, you know, the injuries that have hit him and consistency issues last year. Jake Peavy's historically had health questions as well. I'd probably lean to him being effective rather than not if he does pitch the whole year. But even so, there's an awful lot of question marks there. I tend to disagree with the general sentiment. I mean, this team, it seems to be thought of in the baseball community, projects fairly well. You know what you're going to get from them. I don't think there is a lot of runs here. I mean, Brandon Belt, Buster Posey, Hunter Pence, they can all hit. But I suspect they're going to need to win with the pitching and good defence. And I wouldn't be comfortable trusting this pitching this year. It's just a little bit too iffy for me. I certainly can't have them as favourites to win this division. There's just a few too many question marks in the rotation. The Los Angeles Dodgers, we need to start there by addressing the elephant in the room, and that is Zach Greinke. Obviously, he left town this year. He's gone in division, signed the big contract with the Diamondbacks. The good news, on the flip side of that coin, is that the rotation behind those two was pretty much a whole lot of nothing. It was a hot mess last year, and still they won the division. Kenta Maeda's come in, looked good in spring training. Scott Kazmir could be a good free agent pickup to give you a solid amount of starts and consistent production in behind. And you know, Ryu's going to be back at some point during this season, hopefully earlier rather than later, which actually makes the rotation top to bottom look sturdier than last year. I mean, if you're telling me that Kershaw and Greinke and a load of nothing is better than Kershaw, Kazmir, Maeda and Ryu and one other, probably Bolsinger, then I'm going to disagree with you. Obviously, Corey Seager's graduating to the majors this year. The Ethier injury is bad news because it means Kyle Crawford is going to feature in the outfield. But I don't see this team as weaker than last year when they won the division. It's just whether or not everyone else has caught them up. And I'm not sure they have, because the Dodgers, they have got depth. This is a team that can cope if they get some injuries. Now, while I don't think they're going to be trading away prospects at the deadline, they do have a really strong farm system for the Dodgers. I mean, Friedman and the guys that have come across from the Rays, they like to accumulate rather than trade them away. But you know, this team has depth at the major league level. It's got depth at the minor league level. So, like few other teams, they'll be able to cope if the injury bug does bite. And now we come to the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks won the off-season. They splashed the cash, the big contract to sign Zach Greinke away from their division rival, the Dodgers. They acquired Shelby Miller from the Braves in a trade, in a rotation that still finds room for Robbie Ray and Ruby De La Rosa. Okay. They'll be relying on offense on Paul Goldschmidt, who's a legit MVP candidate, and AJ Pollock in the outfield, who is currently injured but shouldn't be out too long into April. Look, they've won the off-season. They have the best record in spring training at the moment over in Arizona, and Greinke's looked very good, but the ballpark's not going to suit him as well. Will he live to the contract? You know, we've had this discussion with him before, and he did. But the defense behind him isn't as good as it was in Los Angeles as well. So I'm not expecting Greinke to be up there with the sort of numbers he posted last year. And look, historically, the team that wins the off-season doesn't tend to follow it up on the field during the season. Personally, I'm not convinced by the Arizona Diamondbacks. They don't look deep. All it takes is an injury to the wrong player. If a Greinke, a Goldschmidt, a Pollock, someone like that gets hurt, this team can't. I mean, they're irreplaceable for everyone, but particularly they don't look to have depth for me in Arizona, and that would concern me over 162 games of the regular season. I don't think they're going to. I certainly don't think they're going to win the division. I don't think they're good enough to get a wild card either. Sorry, Diamondbacks fans.